Do you want an amazing marriage? Are you ready to take your marriage to the next level? Then stick around for your Marriage Matters podcast with marriage coach Lynn. Let's put some fun and sizzle into your relationship.
What happened? Somewhere along the way, things cooled off to the point of mutual existence in the same home. Some couples are not happy with this arrangement, yet go along with it, rationalizing that they're busy with kids and jobs. Many don't admit that their once steamy, happy, and loving relationship resembles more of a roommate arrangement. It's too painful to admit. But if you want to make a change and you want to make improvements, it's time to find the courage to take action. Let's talk about what we can do to insert a little more intimacy and move away from this roommate setup. Living like roommates is not really what you want, is it? This show is for those who struggle with a roommate situation and can also help you avoid slipping into a roommate arrangement. First, let's describe the situation by talking about two levels of roommates. Level 1, you share the same bed, maybe some physical expression in the marriage, but emotionally you go separate ways. You feel the connection with your spouse is definitely lacking. There's not as much affection as in the past, feeling as if two ships passing in the night. You're not happy with this arrangement. You may generally love your spouse, but you don't generously love your spouse. In fact, you've entertained thoughts or fantasized about someone else. You've looked up a boyfriend or girlfriend from the past, kind of wondering what they're up to. You are estranged bedfellows. Level 2, roommates with a capital R. You have separate sleeping arrangements, often in another part of the house. There's a definite physical and emotional distance that's more profound than estranged bedfellows. One or both partners feel that this is semi-permanent, maybe even permanent. There could be minimal conversation or unresolved resentment, anger, disappointment, disillusionment, or misery. Sometimes the partners have given up on each other and the marriage. They don't care about each other. You never intended to get to this point, did you? You're emotionally spent. It's a wonder you're still married. But fear is a huge part of why couples stay together. Fear of divorce or change or failure. Fear associated with deep sorrow. Other reasons that you might be staying together: for children. There's a lot at stake. There really is. Economic reasons. It's too expensive to divorce and it's too messy. So roommates with a capital R, the couple very unhappy but comfortable because this is a way of life they've adjusted to. There are 3 possible outcomes when we talk about living together as roommates. Number 1, remain as roommates. 2, divorce. 3, say goodbye to being roommates and hello to a more loving husband-wife relationship. Of course, you know which one I'm in favor of encouraging you to choose number 3. So let's see what we can do to try to warm up the relationship. Whether you are estranged bedfellows or roommates with a capital R, you have important questions to ask. And here's what you really need to ask. What do we want? Do we want to stay married? And each of you needs to ask that question and have a heart-to-heart. If yes, do we want to continue in this situation? Of course, the rational answer is no. People don't really desire to live as roommates and be estranged from each other, hardly talking, and a loneliness and a sadness. If they say they do, they're lying to themselves. They would like to have a happy marriage, but what do they do? How do they do it? What's the first step you make? It's just, you've become stuck. It's really tough. How do you begin to make changes when things have gotten so far out of control, so disappointing, and so painful? Well, here are a few suggestions. Basically, you got lost somewhere along the way. Now it's time to find a way back to love. Maybe a new kind of love. Maybe a deeper and stronger love. So you can cheer and appreciate that, wow, we are at a really low point and we can create something even better than what we had. It's not going to be easy, though. You can't go back to the old you, but you can definitely get to a new, stronger place. Stronger because the hardship is forcing you to grow. It's forcing you to listen, come out of your selfishness, to communicate, to soften up, to heal from an affair or a resentment, or to do something about a rigid relationship. It's going to force you, if you're living as roommates, I'm sure there's been years of blaming and complaining. You've just given up. But you should feel excited and with a new sense of hope. Without hope and a belief that you can be happy together, that you can be stronger than ever, you won't have a vision. It won't allow you to have a vision for a new possibility. I want to repeat that thought. Without hope and a belief that you can be happy together, stronger than ever, you don't have a vision of a new possibility. So you need a vision. Burn it in your mind and commit to it. Without these strong foundations, you might not have the power to propel forward. Some will say that massive prayer is needed to massively change your roommate situation, but action is needed too. And the one who is the most disturbed about the living arrangement can make the first move. What you really need is courage. Courage to take a risk, to be vulnerable, to take a chance on new ways of relating to your spouse. For example, maybe the wife will make the first move and say something like, "Honey, are you happy with the way things are? I'm not, and I was wondering if we could talk about it today or maybe tomorrow." Then she or the couple could do my pillow talk exercise. You can find this exercise and many more that will help you eliminate a roommate situation in my book, Re-Energize Your Marriage in 21 Days. If you don't want to buy the book, go to my YouTube channel, Marriage Coach Lynn, and look for the pillow talk exercise. In the exercise, you're going to do 3 things. 1, tell your spouse what you like about him or her. 2, tell your spouse what you love about him or her. And 3, share your hope for the future of your marriage. This gets you into future thinking, trying to get out of the present stuck situation. Other qualities you need to really examine, take a look at, and to bring into your relationship. Humility along with vulnerability. As you can see when you listen to my podcast episodes, we cover these things. So take a look at the vulnerability, let's be honest episode. What qualities will you need? Also, you will need to set aside self-righteous attitudes, pride, and blame. As for skills, you need to learn how to deal with conflict, irritations, how to express sorrow, how to express your desires. Become a regular listener to the show, and we will end up covering these topics. As you're listening right now, and you're probably getting the sense that you need to have a safe space, you need to feel trust with your spouse, trust and respect. Those are the pillars: trust, commitment, respect. Without those strong foundations, you really are traveling upstream, very, very difficult. The most important things you need to do to get rid of the roommate state of living, and I have about 6 ideas for you. 1, you need to seek to understand each other. Understand the person, the personality of your spouse, the temperament of your spouse. There can be no judgment. You really have to do away with the misunderstandings, assumptions, guessing. You have to do away with rejection. You have to really build a climate where you're not going to have rejection or fear of rejection when you come forward with your thoughts, feelings, opinions. You need to be liked and accepted as you are, and so does your spouse, right? We don't want to be criticized, complaints, all of that stuff shuts us down. Number 2, another important thing you need to do to get rid of your roommate state of living is you must face each other. Turn toward each other in your conversation and as a philosophy of your marriage, turning toward each other. 3, you must strengthen your friendship. And again, if you're roommates, you might not feel very friendly with each other. So one of you is usually going to make the first move, and I hope that the other will be positive and receiving of the gesture of somebody reaching out. So you strengthen your friendship. Friends don't hate each other, right? Friends listen and treat each other respectfully and truthfully. So work on liking each other. Again, my book, Re-Energize Your Marriage in 21 Days, is a great resource. If you roomies would take this book and work through the exercises, I guarantee you will see improvements. You can't not turn away from each other when you start working through this book here. Number 4, the strength of your marriage depends on fondness and admiration of each other. And that kind of, goes along with the friendship idea that I mentioned and turning towards each other. Fondness and admiration of each other. So think how you can admire your spouse more and just show more fondness. Number 5, you need to increase your emotional intelligence. You can do this by learning how to use the love map as described by John Gottman in the Sound Relationship House that I discussed in episode 2 of this podcast. Number 6, I have 2 book recommendations for you if you find yourself in the roommate situation. Number 1, John Gottman's book, The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work, is a good one. And if you're short on time, look up for the audios. There's a good audio that I listened to many years ago by Dr. Gary Chapman, and it was called Seasons of Marriage. I might have either listened to it or read the book, but Seasons of Marriage is a really good one. You're going to find that you might be in the winter season of marriage, and good techniques on how to come out of it. So Seasons of Marriage by Dr. Gary Chapman and The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work by Dr. John Gottman. What I'm trying to say is bombard yourself with what it takes to have a happy marriage. Find resources, find books, find information. What are positive marriages doing right? Look for examples. It's always great to look at happy long-term married people who've had to overcome the winter season of their marriage or distancing from each other, feeling like they were roommates. Now, when you listen to this, I'm throwing a lot out at you, and yes, it's going to take a lot of work to face your problems and your shortcomings. Not your spouse's shortcomings, I repeat, your shortcomings. And it's a lot of effort to face the difficulties that are in front of you. But again, if you have hope, if you're willing to make the move, if you can just out of love and creating a safe space where you can make the first move. So sometimes making the first move is the hardest move. And again, just keep on trying. For some of you, it really will be huge obstacles. You might feel like it's impossible, like there are boulders blocking the road you're trying to travel on. Don't we all wish we just had little pebbles we can kick out of our way instead of those boulders and those obstacles and those really trying times? So I'm asking you to chip away. You have time. No one is rushing you into dissolving your marriage, but you can't continue to avoid. You really can't. You continue to avoid, then shut this podcast off and go back to the same old of what you have. You can't avoid. What you're looking for is an aha moment, is an opening, something that will begin to turn things around, to warm up the cool climate in your marriage. It takes just one person to help turn the marriage around. I've given you some ideas, and you're not stuck. Your state of marriage is not in a solid form. And it's true even if things are going well in your marriage. Every day, you must adopt the right kinds of behaviors and approach to marriage. Things are always in a state of flux. They're always in a state of change. Are you ready for renewal, forgiveness, apology, and reconciliation? I want you to write a phrase down on a piece of paper, a Post-it note, and post it on a wall somewhere where you see every morning or at least once a day, maybe in your bathroom or bedroom. Reconciliation is possible. And it's really your mindset. You have to believe that it's possible. Then you have to find ways to start turning it around. So reconciliation is possible. You want to be reminded every day of a hope. You want to be reminded that you can get the courage to move forward. Again, you will need to decide what your priority is for your marriage and then take massive action. When I say massive action, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit. You can take small actions, but it's really massive. I know it is, because if you've been living in a situation for a long, long time, it will feel like it's a massive action to get things to turn around, but please don't be like a coward and just not do it and drift and drift and drift and realize your solution is divorce or just continue what you're doing. So it takes massive action for a turnaround. I invite you to join me for one-on-one coaching where we develop techniques that work. I can do these podcasts and give you general information, but one-on-one coaching, counseling sometimes can help unlock a situation that you find yourself in. You could pray and take action. Maybe your spouse doesn't care today, might not care tomorrow or the next day. My motto is keep trying. As you keep trying, you try different things, you come back to it. A person may be responsive, you might find new information. You're not trying the same thing over and over, you're trying different things. The discomfort of estranged bedfellows should raise a red flag to you. It should signal that there's time for action, that your marriage is diseased and it's threatening. Your marital health is being threatened. That's when you have the estranged bedfellows level 1. But roommates with a capital R, the level 2 I was talking about, that's more serious. You need to treat your situation as urgent and dangerous. It is dangerous to the survival of your marriage. You are hanging by threads, dying. And when your relationship is hanging by threads and dying, guess what? As you look around, your health begins to hang by threads and die. Your pessimism, optimism, your whole mindset changes. And guess what? The health of your family suffers. If you have children, they're going to know that you're not happy. They're going to know that you've lost a zest for life when you're living as a roommate, and it's like you're the Walking Dead, something like that. I don't know your situation. I can only speak in generalities. Each relationship is different and comes with different challenges and complexities. I've shared a lot of information today. If the two of you have hope and desire to turn things around, great. If you are the one who wants change and your partner doesn't seem to, you are called to be the leader to initiate a path of change. I plan on writing some notes from today's show and sharing them with the members of the Your Marriage Matters movement. If you haven't already done so, please go to my website and join the movement. I periodically add information as I am able to put it out. If you're new to this podcast, welcome. I have a Facebook page, Marriage Coach Lynn, and a website, marriagecoachlynn.com. Check out my YouTube channel. Can you guess what it's called? Marriage Coach Lynn. I'm wishing you a great day, and each and every day, make your marriage great.